before we get to the video, I want to say hi, Bubble Buddy. I don't know how to do a shout out, but hello and welcome to Hobnob Creations. As you can see, the witching season is upon us, and I thought it would be fun to show you how to make a witch hat. But what's a witch without some magic? Ta-da! These are some examples of the hats I'm going to show you how to make. All of these hats will fit onto a monster high, ever after high sized head. Let's get started. First, you'll need to get the measurements. I need about 5 inches around the head and hair for where I'd like the hat to sit. From that point, I estimate how tall I want the hat to be. For a taller or shorter hat, you can adjust the height. Remember, the most important thing is that the base needs to be able to fit around the head. Now that you've got a rough pattern, we'll check to see how it looks on the doll. And then gather all of our materials. There are many types of fabric, and for making doll clothes, it's important to know how each type will behave. Felt is stiff at this small scale, and it will stand without any help. I only have to cut a single layer while using it if I want the hat to stand tall. And I can use small stitches to shape the hat once it's all put together. Next, we have jersey knit. This is basically the fabric most t-shirts are made out of. It won't fray, and it's very stretchy. We also have this polyester bedsheet material. It's not very stretchy or stiff, so I need to double up the layers if I want to have a more shaped hat, and I need to be aware of the seam allowance to make sure it doesn't fray. Cotton is also a common fabric that will fray if it's got a close seam allowance. Here you can see this is a single layer brim compared to a sewn 2-layer brim. One is more at risk for fraying, but if that's what you're going for in the design, go for it. Once you know how your fabric behaves, you can figure out how to shape the fabric to get what you want. Use glue or fray check to keep the edges clean before or after you're sewing, and altogether you'll have a nice little hat. Now, with your pattern and fabric, mark out the shapes and cut with some seam allowance. Next lesson, seam allowance. I usually hand sew these small projects, and the big thing is to make sure that you leave a seam allowance to turn these edges and create less bulk. Something you can do is use very small stitches while you're sewing. That way everything stays very tight and tiny. And also, once you've sewn it, and once you've made sure that the edges won't fray apart, you can trim down the seam allowances even more tiny, just to make sure you get that nice pointed look in the tip of a hat. Now, I like to hand sew, but you can also use a fast drying glue if you prefer that method. It's your hat. You need to have fun with it. With all the layers cut and sewn, it's on to my favorite part, decorating. Decorating can be anything from a simple flower to a ribbon and feathers and beads. If I'm putting a ribbon down, I like to make very tiny stitches to keep it exactly where I want. Again, if glue is your choice, go for it. One more thing. If you ever see those little hairbands in the dollar store with little mini hats on top of them, add a ribbon and presto. Perfect for you or your bat friend. Now, I can't possibly wear all these hats, and it's more fun to share anyway, right? The first 3 comments to ask will receive their choice of a hat, and the rest will go up on my Etsy shop. Thank you so much for watching. Happy spooky season, and I'll see you again soon.